I went into Marcus the other day, and they had and I was just thinking they should do this all the time for every urinal.
Oh, Jesus. Bathroom story.
Yeah, because they had, it looked like mouse pads, but for your feet in front of every urinal.
Oh, that's nice. A nice cushiony.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if any pee drips on it, isn't it going to...
I know, it's kind of not sanitary.
Is it like a vinyl cover, or does it just sop in the pee?
I don't know. It was
like,
all
what if
foamy.
you stepped on it and it just
it squirted out
like
something.
A sponge?
But it was nice for my feet.
You're not barefoot. So
I was just thinking it's another thing that brings Marcus above.
I suppose.
What's
their
it called? New
bathrooms
Vision.
leave a lot to be desired. It's funny you mentioned that. It just made me think of when Jerry walks into the bathroom with his shoes untied, and he's like, "Well, that lace is done."
It's so true. Hey, didn't see you there.
Oh, we're recording?
Welcome to the latest. Yeah, we're recording.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the latest episode of Bored and Annoyed. I'm home at the movies.
And I'm Jackson.
And this week we're discussing Bird Box, Vice, and we both saw a lot of other shit.
And apparently bathrooms.
Yeah. Bored and Annoyed. This one makes me a little sad. Aquaman is apparently going to hit $1 billion. It's already above 750.
Well deserved.
False.
Yeah, no, it doesn't deserve that.
You notice, now that you've watched The Office, I use false a lot.
Yeah.
Dwight.
You don't say that's what she said very often, though.
Nah. That's the joke in that one, is that it's so lame. I like the false. False.
Yeah.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
It's funny. I just watched that one recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I just recently saw.
But yeah, Aquaman making this money, it's just so sad.
It is. I did like Henry Cavill's little Instagram post.
Oh, it made me just want to vomit. You killed it, brother. Fuck you. He didn't kill anything.
Hey, Jason Momoa. He's just got that charisma.
I like him, but he didn't do anything special in that movie.
Nobody did.
No. Let's see. Shyamalan. We're actually thinking about doing a Shyamalan special episode.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. When does that come out?
I don't know.
Does it come out next week or the week after?
You'd think for a movie-based podcast, we'd be more prepared.
No, not at all. That's not organic then. It's got to be real. It's got to be...
Just two guys in a room looking at their phones.
January 18th.
Oh, wow.
So we have time, I think.
We could.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's projected to do 70 to 75 million opening weekend, which is huge.
That would probably be his biggest opening weekend by far, I would think.
I think so. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I do have trepidation with Glass.
I know it doesn't look, I don't know. It just looks thrown together it looks more generic than a lot of his stuff.
The dialogue in the trailers is what has me concerned.
Well, but has his dialogue ever been spot on as far as his scripts are concerned?
Point.
Think about The Village, although I guess people shit all over The Village, but it is just...
Village is such a funny movie.
I actually like it, but...
I kind of fuse that and The Wicker Man in my head a little bit.
Oh, Jesus. Every time you bring up The Wicker Man, it's the bad one.
No, it's the good one.
No, it is not. The real Wicker Man is good.
I'll take my Nick Cage version. Let's see. Bird Box was viewed over 45 million times in the first couple days.
It's free.
It's free.
Yes. Although I guess it's not free. You do pay for a Netflix subscription.
I think a lot of people almost forget that they pay for it.
Yeah. I'm interested in that. I would love to see the numbers as to how many new subscribers they've gotten since Bird Box. That would be more telling to me, I guess.
What'd be great is if it's like the inverse. We actually measured how many people they lose after a shitty thing comes out.
Right.
I'd watch that. I'd look at those numbers.
Yeah, I don't think that happens though, because you can just turn it off and move on to the next thing.
I should do that. I should be that guy. David Harbour promises a grittier and a more visceral take.
Oh, that's
Hellboy.
a lie.
Yeah.
Judging by the trailer, it doesn't look very visceral.
Somebody's freaking out about the public response a little bit.
Well, and I'm sorry, but like, what? I don't know. Okay, like that seems to be the thing now. What was wrong with Hellboy just being like a fun movie?
That was the thing circa like 2011, 2010.
Like Man of Steel?
Yeah. Like, hey, we're going to make it. It's grittier. It's grittier. It's darker.
Yeah. Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that work for the Dark Universe and the DC Universe? It didn't work so well.
The Dark Universe.
It's coming back.
No, it's not. Never.
But yeah, that's basically it for news. I don't really have anything else. We can just go into.
I do want to mention props to Ellen DeGeneres for standing up for Kevin Hart. Did you hear about that?
Oh, did she do that?
She
really?
had like him on had an interview with him. They had a decent conversation apparently, and she called like the Academy people to say, "Hey, you should really just, would you want Kevin to come back?" And apparently they said like, "Yeah, we want Kevin Hart. Like, I think there was just an overreaction, blah, 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 blah." But he's still saying like, "No, I'm not going to do it." He's just sticking to his guns and saying, whatever. But I thought it was cool of her to, kind of bring him in. And apparently some are calling her homophobic now.
She's afraid of herself. She's in that new Us movie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh, man, that would be a great parody on that.
That would. Oh, God, I'm coming after myself.
Just
I'm
a little
so
like
homophobic.
3-minute. Yeah, right. But yeah, no, props to her for doing that. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, good for her. I had not heard about that at all.
I think that just happened, but
well, I mean, that does, if I'm honest, that sort of seems like Ellen DeGeneres all over, like that's just her. She seems like somebody who doesn't get too much into politics, but when she sees something that she sees is wrong, she'll stand up for it, I think.
Right. Well, and who better to have in Kevin Hart's corner than her?
Right.
She,
yeah.
She paved the way in many ways.
Yeah, she's the flag waver.
Yeah, it's true.
Sort of, I guess.
The rainbow flag waver.
The rainbow flag waver. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just keep
See
going
how
with
many
the Seinfeld
references we can fit into one episode.
But yeah, what did you for shit we watched? What do you got there?
Well, this week I watched quite a few things. One thing I watched was The Iron Giant.
Ah, lovely.
The animated E.T., but with a robot.
Yep. Vin Diesel in his defining role.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
The animation is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, like, it almost looks like the animation from the new Spider-Man movie. I mean, that's a stretch, but...
Well, actually, they did do the thing of...
like computer generated.
Computer with 2D, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
Really, touching story, good characters.
Yep.
I would imagine that this is a movie that adults would like. I mean, I like kids' movies, period.
Right.
But... people that don't, I feel like, would still like this.
I would hope so. I think it's a well-crafted story, yeah.
And you can see how Brad Bird knows what he's doing.
Yes.
I don't know much about, how much a director has control over the animation portion or, it's kind of weird. It's got to be a completely different thing to direct an animated movie.
Well, because you have to be, I'd imagine for a director there's a ton of like pre-production work that they look
like
at the
storyboarding, all that kind of shit. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. It's a great movie. I would recommend anybody who's never seen it to see it. It's 20 years old now.
Oh God.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend that one. Jennifer Aniston, Vin Diesel, Harry Connick Jr., Christopher McDonald, who was Shooter McGavin in Happy Gilmore, is like the bad guy in it.
Yep.
John Mahoney, rest in peace. Frasier's dad is in it. It's just a great movie.
Yeah. I watched the new season of Voltron, which I did not know was the final season. I feel like they should have maybe marketed it as such. It has problems. It has a lot of problems.
Oh no.
It's everything is solved by we're friends and friendship and we all have Voltron inside of us. It really felt like we were running out of money, so that animation got a little cheaper. It felt like we maybe wanted another season, but we're not going to get one, so we're just going to, we're going to shove a bunch of shit in here at the end and everything's going to move at a very fast pace. And like I said, when you make things like, oh, the power of friendship saves us for everything, there's not much tension in your action scenes because it's like, oh, well, they'll just believe in something and then a rainbow will come out of Voltron and they'll defeat the enemy. It's boring. It's boring. It went from being, like I said, a decent show to a great show in season 6, and then 7, and I don't know if this is 8 or 9. They just sort of fell off.
It's been falling apart.
Yeah. So it's nice in that, the original Voltron was garbage. It's just a terrible episodic pull out the blazing sword and we're,
sure,
fight the monsters. It's Power Rangers, but animated.
Right. I was just going to say animated Power Rangers.
Yeah. But now, they made it like characters have evolved.
A real thing.
Yeah. There's character arcs and there's some like really intricate sort of storytelling, and some of the characters are tragic. And I feel like it's something that's aimed at 14 or 15-year-olds rather than 8-year-olds.
Right.
But, I feel like because it's aimed at 14 or 15-year-olds, the storytelling lacks a little bit.
Okay.
So,
would you recommend it?
If you
as a whole,
I think as a whole, if you like 2D animation, I think it might trip your trigger a little bit because there's a decent amount of that in there. But I think at the end of the day, I'm like, I think I probably wasted my time with this series. Sadly.
Yeah. Well, it happens.
But whatever. What else do you got?
Let's see here. I also watched Apostle.
Oh yeah,
the Netflix original.
Right.
You brought up The Wicker Man earlier. Mm-hmm. It's a little Wicker Man-ish.
Oh, what's the premise?
So the premise is basically there's this dude whose sister has been taken for ransom. It's like olden days. I don't know exactly when it takes place. Don't remember. But his father receives a ransom note, but he's kind of out of it.
Okay.
So basically he ends up, reading this note, and he's told to come to this island with money and pay off these people to get the sister back.
Right.
He ends up going out to this island and staying hidden because basically he's supposed to see the sister before he pays the ransom.
Okay.
It's like this religious cult. It's really fucking weird. They worship the goddess. There's like blood sacrificing going on. There's torture going on.
The goddess, maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah, that one, right?
Yep.
The exact opposite of any woman who looks like that. But anyways, just as an example, there's some really creepy shit going on. Like he gets put in this cottage, and the first thing they do is they give you this glass jar, and every night you're supposed to bleed into this jar and leave it outside your door so that, the goddess gets its blood or whatever.
Like a menstrual kind of metaphor.
It's a very nature metaphor. It's weird. So the movie kind of starts off kind of slow, but as you get going into it, I was extremely intrigued by it. I wouldn't say it's great, but I liked it a lot.
Gotcha.
Just because it's weird, and I'm a little surprised that it didn't get more play. It's got Daniel Stevens from Beauty and the Beast in it. Michael Sheen is in it. He's kind of the cult leader, and he's always really good.
Guy from Tron Legacy.
Yeah. He was probably the most interesting character in that.
He was I was just going to say
He really
that.
hammed it up good.
He was the best part about the whole movie.
I would agree.
Well, except for Daft Punk's soundtrack.
Yeah. And the whole first 15 minutes where they basically did everything cool at the beginning of the movie, and the rest was just a slog.
Yep.
God, what a disappointment that movie is.
It is. It's sad.
It should be really good.
I still want a sequel. I just want a better script.
Right. Yeah, well, they took the games, which is the coolest part of Tron, and they did it all in a 10-minute segment at the beginning.
Yeah. That should have been the whole movie.
Right. I 100% agree. But yeah, no, I would really recommend this one. This one gets a B from me.
Okay.
Little foreshadowing, but this is the best Netflix original I've watched recently as far as a film is concerned. Oh, wait. Well, Roma was kind of picked up by Netflix, but no, it's fucking fun.
Go.
It's fun to watch.
With your love of your Mexican directors.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, I don't know who directed. I should look up who directed Apostle.
That's a new stereotype.
Mexican director.
The Mexican director. I mean, think about it. The guy who did. Oh God, what's it called? Birdman.
Birdman. Yeah, he's great.
He's a Mexican director too. Del Toro.
Del Toro, yeah.
Roma.
So the guy who did Apostle did both of the Raid movies.
Oh, wow.
VHS 2. Yeah, it's good. I liked it quite a bit, man.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Well, now you've sold me.
Now you want to watch it because the Raid movies?
Well, there's the Raid. There's the Raid Redemption.
Yes, right.
And then there's the Raid
movie.
No.
There's 3 movies now?
It's a callback, Jackson. I'm making a joke.
But yeah, no, I would highly, 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 highly recommend watching this. Some of you are probably going to turn it off like 15 minutes in because it's boring or it's too weird or whatever. But if you like weird shit, especially, it's must watch. The way it's shot, the cinematography is fucking amazing in this movie.
You said it's kind of like The Wicker Man in that it's like this. So is there a woman in a bear suit getting punched in the face by Daniel Stevens?
No.
Oh. How about a child having his bike stolen away?
It's like The Wicker Man because there's a creepy cult on an island.
But are there bees? Where are the bees?
I don't think there's no scene where a character gets a cage put on his head and bees are released and he yells bees.
Fuck. Okay.
But yeah, I guess to knock the movie, what I would say, everyone's kind of really putting on that old time, like Daniel Stevens character is really like they're very apparently like hamming it up as far as like using the old sounding language.
Is he doing like his Downton Abbey thing?
A little bit, but not.
Hello, sir?
But angry and intense.
Not
like
the bees.
Like there's not much room for like character, like feeling. There's no, but it's a time. I'm telling you, it's
a time.
It's really a time on the couch.
Okay.
But yeah, how about yourself? Back to you.
I watched so many movies over the weekend. Paddington 2.
Oh,
got around to one of your favorite movies of the year.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies. I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
Wow.
As like not that it's like the best thing ever, but I just want more Paddington.
I will say that as you get older, and it makes nothing to make you sound a little old, like when you say when you get older, but I do feel like as you get older, it's just I can't take a movie that came out in 2008 and not put it in my favorite movies of the year because it came out 8 years after one of my other, so your list of favorite movies just keeps growing growing.
I mean, the more movies you see, the more favorite movies you're going to have, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, that as in general, the character, the Paddington saga, as it were.
So Jackson's been talking this movie up to me pretty good, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, these goddamn Paddington movies. It starts off all saccharine and Paddington. He's riding around. Everybody loves Paddington.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
And then the movie just grabs you, and it makes you an 8-year-old again, and it's simply delightful.
It is.
It's simply delightful. You almost like I don't know. It's an impressive movie. You got Hugh Grant, who's this great over the top actor.
Phoenix Buchanan,
great villain, great performance. I think even Phoenix Buchanan would like to hear that this was a great performance.
Yeah, he would really like that. Yeah, actually, as himself.
Yes, Paddington is once again just he's Saint in bear form,
right?
And all the family gets nice little arcs. The music is good. The cinematography is good. The action sequences are well shot.
Right.
And it's got a nice little message. And by the end, you are fully and completely on board, and you are a pile of mush.
Yes, they do a wonderful job of that.
You even see some of it coming, and you still don't care.
And it's funny because it's earned mush. It's not like the really over the top, like This Is Us mush, I'll call it.
Right, yeah.
Where it's like, okay, this was clearly...
Everybody's crying all the time.
Yes, right. No, it's just something nice is happening, and because of your investment in the story and the characters, you can't help but get a little...
I can't remember what his aunt's name is. Aunt Irma? I don't know. Oh, wait,
Lucy.
that's an IT
Lucy.
IT crowd.
Aunt Lucy.
Aunt Lucy. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not in it much, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I'd give it, well, I don't know, B plus, A minus.
Oh, it's an A plus. It's
I don't
an
know.
A plus.
It's
And you had mentioned, by the way, Ben Whishaw,
Yeah.
and how he just like tears your heart out in Mary Poppins. I think
Yes.
he was just designed
As an actor to do this.
calm. Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause he's the voice of Paddington.
yeah, Cloud Atlas. He did have the most emotional arc in that entire movie too.
Right.
So yeah, you might be right. You might be onto something there.
Now, is there casting for Bond out yet? I'm assuming he's coming back to play Q because
See,
I liked
that's
him in that role.
That's
too.
where he doesn't rip your heart out, but
Right.
he's in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Q.
Here's some cool stuff, Bond. All right, I'm going to go and be Paddington now.
Right.
But yeah, that's what else do you got for shit you watched?
Well, I just want to say, if you haven't seen the Paddington movies, before we move on, they really are great. Paddington 2 is according to Rotten Tomatoes scoring, the best reviewed movie of all time.
Yeah.
It has like 200 plus reviews. Not a single person has come out of the theater and gone, oh, that sucked.
And I'm still waiting for that guy.
That guy can't exist.
He might lie just to be the only negative review.
Right. Well, if that person comes out and does that,
Just as-
I am going to want to see a picture of what they look like and hate them.
That man is going to be flayed in the streets by all the critics, just as Paddington would want.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's what's great about the character Paddington is like he's really naive, but he's also like he's right because if
got his-
everybody was like Paddington, the world would be a better place.
I just like to see Paddington put into just like an awful, like put him in a Saw movie. Sir, I really like your tricycle,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, it's a game. Yeah, he'd really fit right in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, there's a whole prison sequence that's really fun.
Yep.
Like you already mentioned, Hugh Grant. The biggest thing that I like about these movies, especially the second one, I think, is that all of the actors are really like they're giving it their all. And they're just hamming it up in the best style. Brendan Gleeson might be my favorite addition in this.
I will say this. I actually think I liked the first Paddington more.
Did you?
I did.
See, I did too, but I haven't watched that in a while. So I feel like I need to rewatch that because I've watched Paddington 2 now recently.
It's got like just this killer emotional arc.
Right.
For the main character. This is a good emotional arc too, but I mean, it's the problem of sequels. It's just hard to reach that high of the first. But yeah, what else do you have for your watching?
Let's see here. I watched 8th Grade.
Oh,
and
so
I
did
believe
I.
you did too.
Yep.
Yeah. This one was great.
Yeah.
One of the best of the year, I guess.
Yep.
You know, Elsa Fisher or whatever her name is that plays the main 8th grader is fantastic. Really hits the awkward, preteen feel on the money. So
She's organic. She's
Yeah.
some of she feels like the first shot is of her doing a YouTube video.
I'm convinced they just showed her the script like a second before she went out there and did it. So.
Either that or she's just a great new actress because
Yes.
she just knocks it out of the park. Because I don't think I've ever seen, or not ever, but I haven't seen in a long time such a I don't know, concise way of telling you about a character without really having the character be like, I like this and I like that. Like you can just tell she's and she's looking away
it's
from
perfect.
the camera and she's saying all these cliche things and it's just this and then she does this terrible thing, Gucci and it's just the most like fake that's not you thing
Right.
like I've ever seen a kid do probably. And it's perfect.
It was really good.
It's a perfect intro to the movie, and the movie just like you have like the older brother as a male. You have like an older brother syndrome with her, where you just want to grab her, and just be like, "No, stop prioritizing that. Things will turn out fine if you just."
There are so many times in the movie that just like make you like almost start sweating
Yes.
because it's so like hard to watch because it's so awkward.
The scene where she goes to the popular girls'
pool party. The birthday party that they don't want her at.
Yes.
Ugh.
It was just, I'm writhing in my seat. Like, oh God, just tensing up knowing what's coming. And
yeah.
I felt like it was maybe some of the best. Did you just fart?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I just heard a
play it back.
Must have been the chair.
No, if I farted in this chair, you'd hear it. It'd be that type of chair where it like popples off the seat.
Oh man. But I'm keeping that in, all of that.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, I liked it. I liked it a ton. It was great.
Yeah, it really was. It deserves all the praise it's been getting.
That's like another A- movie for me.
I would agree. I would agree. I liked it better than I thought I would, and I didn't think I'd hate it. So.
Yeah. I think the only thing that brings it down for me is some of the cinematography is very much like, it's very amateur. And not all of it. There are moments where I'm like, oh God, this was like, did you guys not color correct this shot? Or what? Like you guys
It's very like bright. Like it feels like the sun is blaring in your eyes. Like,
yeah. I would agree with that. It's. I feel like it's very obviously like somebody's first film, and it is. It's that Bo Burnham who's a YouTube star.
He kicked ass. I'd like to see more Bo Burnham now.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I really liked it. I would highly recommend that one as well.
Yeah, I finally saw Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Great.
Yeah.
Just fucking great.
Just, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. It's just something everybody should see.
Yeah, we have a previous episode if you want to hear more about it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, I feel like everybody needs Mr. Rogers in their life. And this movie there's a moment near the end where it's kind of like, it's not even like a moment of silence. Well, it kind of is. It's like everybody remembers somebody that inspired you, somebody that means something to you, and somebody who believed in you. And everybody, all the people who are being interviewed have that. And it's just this beautiful moment of remembering what he meant and how he changed society and made us sort of realize what we need to prioritize.
I think what I liked best about it was that it didn't treat him as if he was some deity who was just like this perfect being.
Agreed.
You know, he was a real person.
Yep.
He had his, you know.
He has like an arc in the movie.
I know. It's a really well put together documentary.
Yeah. And it's only like, I think it's only like an hour and a half long, thereabouts.
Hey, it gets bonus points.
It does. So yeah, that's, God, I mean, I guess that's another A- also.
Yeah, I would right up there.
Yeah.
Maybe a B+. I don't know. You'll have to look at how I graded it when I saw it.
But what else do you got? You got anything else?
I just have The Bridge.
Oh, The Bridge Between Two People. I did see Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was so fun.
It was an interesting movie.
It's beyond interesting. It's like super strange, and then it also like it's using metaphors that are so obvious that it's like you want to like dock it points for that, but it's done in such a funny, stupid, fun way that
might be the most stylistic movie that came out this year. Maybe.
I think it's probably the best comedy of the year, if it's classified as a comedy, which I believe it is. I mean, it's funny, it's sarcastic.
It's a weird. It's that weird comedy where you're laughing, but also at the same time you could also be disturbed, and you might not laugh. Some of the overtly comedic bits didn't make me laugh.
Okay.
Like when the guy was being like, the gonorrhea, I got gonorrhea. And he's like shouting it into the mic or whatever, into the air
like
horn.
The protester people.
Yeah. That didn't land for me. I was like, this is the weakest part of the movie. But the message, the characters, the writing, the acting, the cinematography, the set design, and the story twist are all phenomenal.
Oh yeah, it's great. Well, it's funny because like we talked about this when it came out. Like I don't necessarily agree with the message or the premise of the movie.
Yep.
I mean, I get the threads of it, whatever I agree with, but
yeah.
But it doesn't even matter because it's done so well. I just don't care.
Yeah.
It's got kind of an anti-capitalism thing, which to me it's like, okay, well, every form of, every thought process as far as how government should act and how people should act and how businesses should act they kind of have their pluses and minuses. Mm-hmm. This one just goes kind of all in on greed. Yes. And, stepping on other people to make your way up the ladder, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And, I think everybody can prosper, but it's done so fucking cleverly and hilariously that I just don't give a shit. And I had a great time with it.
Yeah.
I was actually taken in by it. And, it made me change the way I thought about some things, which is kind of the goal, I feel like, when you're making a movie like this.
Yeah, it is a movie. It's a statement movie, for sure. I mean, there are some that don't have statements. This movie plays in metaphor in just about every... Like, there's a character, one of the power callers, as they're called.
The power callers.
And he's got a eye patch over his eye, and you never learn his name. I find the fact that you never learn his name is kind of nice in that... he could be anyone.
Right.
And I like the idea. There's a like a terrorist, or not terrorist, but activist group in the movie called like the Left Eye Terrorists or whatever. And this guy has an eye patch over his left eye, which is kind of like, in order to do his job effectively, he has to be blind to the left eye, point of view, I guess.
Right.
And I think that was nice. There's a scene where the black character is in a room full of white people, is yelled at to rap. And he's like, I don't rap. And then when he finally starts rapping, he just starts saying N-word shit. Like literally,
and they're just loving it.
And they're just like, he's like, N-word shit, N-word shit, N-word shit, N-word shit, and they just shout it back to him.
Alex, people know what word you're saying. Like, it's still inappropriate when you say.
Well, I'm not going to pull a Viggo Mortensen. All right,
that's true. You don't want your Oscar chances.
Yep, because I've got big Oscar chances in the future.
Best podcaster.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was great. Army Hammer, I feel like, deserves a personal shout out.
Yep.
His character's fucking hilarious to me.
His character was hilarious. Also, he was just evil.
Yeah, right.
He's just evil.
He was like the embodiment of like corporate culture, you know? Like, he's what I'm talking about when it's like, okay, this is a really extreme example, but I just don't give a shit because it's so goddamn funny.
I think that's my favorite thing about the movie is that it's trying to shock you into seeing its point.
Right.
Because I don't think it's necessarily a balanced view. You fall on one side of this and I fall on the other. But
no, but I just don't care.
Right. But this is further to the left than I'm going. Because I thought about it and I was like, well, maybe it's not saying that all capitalism is wrong. But then I was like, well, where's a good example of capitalism?
No, that's not the movie's goal, though.
Right.
So forgive it that. It's a fucking funny movie. It has something to say. And yeah, I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it quite a bit. Yeah. That's another A- for me. All
right. Look at you. Just throwing A- out today.
All the love today.
Can't just give something an A, can you?
A's are really tough.
A's are tough?
I feel like A's and A+. Like A+ are,
There were 2 A+ this year.
Hereditary?
No, that's an A.
Oh, my. Yeah.
No. We talked about this on our, if you guys give it a listen, the top 10 films.
What was it? What was your A+?
Well, an A got number 1, and A+ were right behind it. So the A+ for me were Mission Impossible.
Right.
And Paddington 2.
Oh.
But I liked Hereditary the most, even though I find more faults with the movie, I guess.
That's weird. Okay. Anyways.
Hey, personal preference.
Yep.
We these were our favorite films of 2018. Now, if you want me to say they were the best films, I don't know.
Well, I feel like when you get into really good movies, best starts being subjective.
Right. I would agree. Yes, that's true.
Because we made our lists and it's like, but I mean, I would not have any qualms with somebody taking any of your honorable mentions and putting them in their top 10.
Right.
Or my honorable mentions or mixing things around. I feel like we named probably the top 20, 25 movies of the year.
Now, for instance, I have a feeling that if you were talking about the best film of 2018, maybe Avengers wouldn't have won.
I probably, maybe not. I mean, okay. I'm going to try and organize my thoughts here. Best can be really tough because it's like, okay, well, what were the hurdles? What were the goals? What were the things that it achieved? Because I think cinematography was good in that, but it's a different kind of cinematography than what you would see in
Right.
Sorry to Bother You. I feel like special effects were probably the best of the year in that. But does that make a good movie? I feel like it handles its characters well, but does it get as emotional as, say, like Searching? No. But that may not be the point of it.
That's not the point of it. Right.
So, I mean, like, that's where I get into, like, best is really gets subjective.
I agree.
But, so are we at our Man of Steel, the bridge between two people?
You could be the bridge between two peoples. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun.
Yeah. So we were talking about these Netflix movies. Where do we put these? Do we put them in shit we watched, or do we put them in reviews?
Right.
But some things belong in between. And that would be the bridge.
The bridge between two people.
And hopefully, I'm assuming Alex has put the audio. This is what, every time I think of a bridge, I think of that Hackney line from Man of Steel, from the greatest actor to ever walk the face of the earth.
Oh, you don't
Russell Crowe.
You don't think of that iconic bridge in Aquaman?
No.
The underwater bridge that makes zero sense.
The Thor ripoff bridge?
Yeah. Why? 3-dimensional travel is available under the water.
You still need bridges.
No, you don't.
Between people.
See, that's where you need bridges.
But yeah, Bird Box.
Yes, Bird Box.
The big hit. The big hit, Bird Box. You've been assaulted by memes. We're going to tell you whether or not it's any good. Alex?
It's my Peter Griffin. I guess. No, it's not good. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I think it sucks.
Yeah.
Sucks ass.
Oh, what kind of ass? Like a donkey ass, or like
horse ass? Since we were just talking about Sorry to Bother You, we'll stick with that motif of horses.
Gotcha.
Work horses. But yeah, no, I thought it sucked. It's not an ugly movie.
I'm interested to I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, well, the movie starts and it has it has the most exciting scene right at the beginning, first of all, in my opinion, when the make you kill yourself thing happens.
Okay.
And then it goes into like Stephen King made for TV territory, where you have all these characters conveniently converging on this house.
Right.
You've got all sorts of different types of characters. You have the asshole and the funny black guy.
That was pretty funny.
It was badass guy.
It was so contrived. It was so contrived.
Oh yeah, it's horrible. But yeah, it felt like this would be night one of the miniseries, where you would learn who the characters were and whatever.
Right.
And then, so another problem with the movie is the pacing issues, because what happens to everyone.
Agreed.
Or you have an idea because it's bouncing back and forth between present day and past.
Agreed.
The characters are all fucking dumb as shit. There's tons of stuff that just made me shake my head.
Yeah.
If you'll forgive me a moment, there's going to be some spoilers here. But yeah, no, real quick. Premise and grade, I guess. Premise is it's a quiet place, only you can't look.
Yep.
You can't see instead of not being able to talk.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you look outside, you will see something that either makes you go crazy and make other people want to see it too, or make you kill yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. It seems like what's making people kill themselves is kind of different from person to person. Some people are afraid. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, they're really happy about this, so they'll go into a situation that they will die in, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a myriad of character moments. I'll give the movie a D.
Okay.
I'm not going to give it an F because I was too entertained by it to give it an F.
Right.
How about you? What's your grade?
Give it a C
spoil
minus.
this shit. C minus?
C minus.
Okay. Well, all right. So basically, right from the get-go, things start happening that don't make any logical sense as far as logic is concerned with the characters.
Yeah.
There's even a scene towards the beginning of the movie where they're talking about like, oh, maybe we can see what it looks like on camera because we have this IR infrared camera thing.
Yep.
But then they show like the screens. And it's just like black and white film.
Well, it wasn't. Was it black and white? I thought it was just regular color. Like, because they did say the infrared, and then they just looked at the screens
it
like
looked
regular.
to me like if you had like regular old security cameras at your house.
Yep.
It didn't look like something
And
like
then
it didn't look like Predator vision or
and
something.
then the wind.
Yeah, the wind.
came.
Right. Yeah, there's a wind that comes with this thing.
This is the problem. We're just going into spoilers, right?
Yes.
All spoilers.
Yeah.
This is the problem with this thing is they needed a visual cue for the entity, whatever it is. But the problem is you establish something like it's got wind powers now, so it's like storm. Why doesn't it just break the glass with heavy winds?
It doesn't make any sense.
And then the wind gets stronger at the end of the movie when it's chasing Sandra Bullock and her two children.
You heard that right. The wind is chasing Sandra Bullock.
Well, it's voices on the wind, too.
Oh, yeah,
also.
that's right. There's voices. That's
But, I mean, it is one of those things where you're like, you gave this thing an additional superpower that complicates your entire narrative.
Well, you need to set up a, chase scene at the end of the movie. So you have to be running from something.
Which, no.
Well, the problem with that is, this is the part where it was broken at the beginning, but it was like shattered at the end of me because it all comes to this climax where like they need to get somewhere, like a safe spot.
Yeah.
And they're running through the woods from the entity.
Yep.
But the entire movie revolves around the rule of if you don't look at it, you're okay.
Yep.
That's the movie.
Yep.
If the blindfold doesn't come off, you are okay.
Yep.
They do have like I said, there's certain characters that look into it and they go crazy and like try and make you look as well.
Yeah.
But that's not how they set up the ending. Like to me, the characters didn't think those people were after them. They knew it was the entity.
Well, the entity was trying to tempt them, and then when they weren't when they finally became a family unit, just carrying her children, it's like, well, fuck it, I'll kill you with my wind. And it's like, I'm winding you to death. And they're like, no, I'll run, but I won't lift my knees, so I'll still trip over the branches.
Why are they running, though?
Because it's scary. It's a scary wind with dead people's voices on the wind.
5 years this thing has been out there. 5 years you've lived not being able to look outside.
Yep.
And then you forget everything
Sandra
you know.
Bullock is just scared because she's finally let the children into her heart.
It's fucking dumb. They should be calmly walking and she should be going, kids, don't worry about it. It's not legitimate.
You imagine that as your
walking.
climax?
Well, that's the problem is the climax is at the beginning. Like the actual thing that happens that's cool is at the beginning.
Yes.
Where you learn about the rules of the creature or whatever the fuck it is. And I don't have a problem not figuring out exactly what it is. That's interesting to me.
Right.
I
like that. Actually, I think we both agree on this. The premise is actually really kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I even like the idea of it's like this ancient demon or whatever, like the nerd guy from Get Out. He sort of hints at that.
Yes.
I was like, that's pretty cool. I really like this. But the execution of it is really poor. And I think the thing that breaks the movie is the non-linear story structure.
Oh, it's terrible.
Because you know that it ends up being Sandra Bullock and the two children, which means you already know that bad things happen to everyone else in that house.
Right.
And so by default, you start watching this group of people dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And so every time you go back, you're like, oh, somebody's going to die here. Or, oh, here comes the pregnancy, the delivery scene. And and all of that I figured out was so that they introduced the idea of the people who could survive it and want to show other people the thing.
Yes, the best part of the movie.
The best part of the movie,
best aspect of the movie.
Yes, and the coolest, I'd say probably the most tense scene is when the guy comes up to the boat and he's trying to take Sandra Bullock's thing off. But that was the reason they did it non-linear, is because they wanted that to be like a jump scare tense scene, but that scene is not tense if you have the scene earlier where the guy explains it.
Right.
So they literally structured their entire movie around one jump scare that broke the movie. I think from a narrative perspective.
Yeah, well, you didn't even have to have the first guy, in my opinion. You could have come up with something else, first of all.
Agreed.
And the first guy brings me to another broken aspect of the movie where it ignores its rules. Because they let him into the house, to save him.
And they're like, let me see your eyes.
Yeah, and he looks fine.
Yeah.
But he's seen the demon, and then at the end of the movie, when Sandra Bullock and the kids show up at the blind school, the first thing they do is check their eyes, and that's how they know that they're not crazy.
Yeah. But he did it, and he was fine. So why is checking your eyes a thing?
I don't know, because apparently you're supposed to have amnesia during a 2-hour movie, and you're not supposed to remember anything that was set up. That's the problem with the movie.
Yeah.
Neat idea. You gotta, when you're making something like this, though, in the horror genre, or, there's like the Scream movies, they talk about the rules. You know, there are rules that are established. And this movie tries to create its own kind of lore and rules. And if you don't follow those, you're fucked.
Every movie has an internal logic that it has to adhere to.
Correct.
And that's what does not work here, because it's just the example of, just like the wind with the eyes, they wanted a visual cue that this guy was not right and that he was crazy. But guess what? The second that he starts opening up, okay, one, he pulls out the drawings, so we get the picture. He's crazy.
He's crazy, right.
Then he starts opening up all the takes the papers off the windows, and you're like, okay, so he's one of those crazy people. I got it. I didn't need his eyes to get all cloudy.
Well, and okay, so someone I suppose could say, okay, he had never seen it before that. He's just a crazy guy who hadn't seen it. But the problem is, you don't tell us that. You don't explain the drawings. So the only thing I can conclude from seeing him with the drawings is that, he has seen it.
Yes. I think that's the proper way to read it, because
to interpret it. Yeah.
Because it's like, why would he have these drawings unless he is just like literally a crazy person? But if he was a crazy person, he probably just would have opened his blindfold out there already if he was crazy.
Right.
So
realistically, these people, what they should do is he should have just set the house on fire from the outside. I mean,
that's a way to solve your problem of
getting people to see you got to leave the house.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's actually an excellent point.
Well, the other problem with the movie, too, is the whole grocery store thing, where they all get together to go to the grocery store, and they're all fighting, wanting to stay back.
Right.
The bigger group is going. And that's where the supplies and shit are. So as soon as they even planned this, I'm like, oh, that's what they should do. They should go hole up at the grocery store.
Right.
But the one character who's the asshole of the group is the only one who figures that out after they're already there.
Right. It's like, oh, I'm sorry that I brought up the fact that as humans evolved, we stayed where food was.
Right.
What? He's the asshole, and you make him be the one that brings it up.
Yeah.
I also hate the fact they have this old woman in the movie.
Yes.
She's there to
nothing.
do one thing, which is knock John Malkovich out. That's the one thing she does.
Yeah, she was completely pointless. Last, detailed gripe.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, basically the birds are all they're at this blind school. It's a safe place, and the birds are there, and like they say to Sandra Bullock, like, oh, the birds warn us when it's near, or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's another rule the movie breaks, because I never was under the impression that it needed to be near. I thought it was just you look outside. Every character who looks outside in the movie goes crazy.
Yeah.
So what is this thing? Is it like, just happen to be hanging out wherever the movie was at any given time?
Yep.
Or is it like does it encompass the entire Earth? I don't fucking get it. I know it's spread at the beginning.
Right.
But does it move on? Like, it's in Europe now, so we can all look outside until it comes closer.
That's a fantastic point, because it's like, you did see the whole, like, it's spreading from what was it?
Russia.
Yeah. And so it's spreading from Russia. And then it's like, okay, so does that mean did it make itself bigger? Because you saw like the whole thing and you're like, oh man, it's so big. Look at that big arrow.
I thought it was like a plague that's spreading and it's everywhere.
Like it's like the size of like a giant cloud or whatever.
Yes.
But then you get into that forest when she's getting chased and it's like, oh, it's
this little thing.
It's this little thing that like it's like a little tuff of wind. Yeah,
that gets to the metaphor to the Russia thing.
Yeah.
So the whole social media metaphor.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to correctly read this. There are some people that are saying it's a race thing, and I'm like, but there's a black guy in this that complicates your entire point.
Well, and yeah, there's pieces to that puzzle that don't really fit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
because they're like, oh, the monster is racism, and white people don't want to see racism or whatever. I'm like, wait. So what exactly are you implying? That a white person, if they see racism will want to kill themselves?
Well, and why would the racists, who I'm assuming are the crazy people, like they want you to see the racism? I mean, it doesn't really make much sense.
Well, and then, like I said, there's the black guy who opens his eyes and he sees it and then he kills himself. So it's like, you're getting really muddled with your metaphor here. I feel like it's very clear that it is social media because there are a few hints early on in the movie. Sandra Bullock is a painter. She's painting a picture of a bunch of people, but they all look like they're looking at their phones almost. And she asked her sister, what do you see? And her sister's like, I see a bunch of people together, but they're all really lonely. It's like, is there a better way to describe social media? And then there's the Russia connection of, oh, look, the bots are coming over. And then there's the people who can see it and think it's beautiful, and those are the trolls. They're the ones who want you to kill yourself on social media. They want you to be upset. And then, like I said, it's a really loose one, but then the birds and Twitter. And I'm like, I don't even know if that's the point, and I don't quite get the point of the birds, and I don't get the whole like, wait, blind people don't get taken in by social media? Like,
oh yeah, they can't see their phone screens. So
what does that? I mean,
the bird box thing. See, to me, when I'm watching the movie, I'm seeing it as like, okay, she's like closing herself off from the outside world and reality in a way, because like she doesn't want to like admit she's pregnant at the beginning.
Yeah.
She doesn't name the children.
Yep.
She's, whatever. And her arc, I guess, is finally like accepting the outside world.
Right.
Now, how that all fits in, honestly, I'd have to sit there and really think about it.
Right. And I think it's just the extension of creating real life connections with people.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is like we said, like when people see it, like they see maybe like a family member or something.
Right.
Or they see something, like you said, they see something that might scare them. And it's like both of those you see online, but the family member might be dead. And it's like, it's not really that person.
Yep.
And you can get sucked into that thing of like, oh, I'm going to spend all my time.
It is creative.
Yeah.
But it's just too bad that it couldn't be honed into something that's actually good instead of this like fucking, it just seems like not much care was taken to really, like people that think critically about these sort of things aren't going to like this movie because there's just too many moments where you're just shaking your head like this doesn't make any fucking sense in the context of the story.
Right. Well, and like I said, I think even if you could turn off your brain and ignore those things, the thing is it stops being tense because of the non-linear structure.
It is a problem.
So that's my main problem with it is I was like, here's I called the scenes as they were coming. I'm like, here's the black dude's death scene. There's no reason we have to go back in time other than to see how he died.
Why does it not work in this, but it works in something like It? Like just the story of It. I guess, well, with the new It was all them as kids. There was none of that. But like in general, like you read Stephen King's It and you're bouncing back and forth from their adult life and their past, but it works,
It's I don't know. I'd have to read It, I think, to see how it works there.
It's just, I mean, I guess there's tension and there's more tension in It because it's actually scary. Like just imagining being these kids in this situation. I mean, that, Ben Hanscom isn't going to die because you're reading about him, as an adult.
Right.
But I mean, I guess they set it up more of a mystery, I guess, as far as the adults. It's the only thing I can think of that would save it, where it's like, like, how did he get this way? Why is his, you're getting more internal dialogue as to their character.
That's a really good point, is because, like, you're interested. Actually, I think you just uncovered it. Is like the difference in time is really important. Because it's like, how old are the kids? 12?
Yeah, they're like teenagers, young preteen. Maybe.
And then you take them to like their, early 30s or whatever?
Right.
That's more interesting, because it's like, oh, wow, he's way different as an adult than he was as a kid. How did he end up this way? Why is he so triggered by X, Y, and Z? That's more interesting than just, it's 5 years and I'm the same person and I've been living in this same situation.
True. Yeah, and in it, there is something that there's like, the whole point is you're meeting these characters one at a time as adults, and they're all getting the phone call that they need to go back to Derry because it is back. So you're like, okay, well, why are they scared to go back to Derry?
Yeah.
And then they get to Derry, and then that's where the story takes off as far as them being adults is concerned. But yeah, no, I just think it's interesting how, in this movie, it is broken.
Yeah.
It fucks the whole movie.
Yeah.
I guess it's also doesn't help that you have one main character that you're following. Like,
yeah.
And
because
when the
how
other
everything...
people aren't around, that's another story. Then, okay, well, we have 5 adults that we're following.
Yeah.
They're the important ones, and we're seeing what they...
there was one important person.
Right.
That's another thing, too, is you don't build any attachment to the other characters other than Sandra Bullock, because if you're a smart viewer, that they're going to be gone.
Right.
So, but what else? You watched Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah, Mary Poppins. It was good.
Yes. Oh, is that how people say it? Poppins?
Poppins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, there's not 2 O's.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say. I don't remember the song. There was one about like a cover of a book, like "Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover" song that I really liked. But it wasn't like I was walking out with like, that would be my negative for the movie, and I liked the movie quite a bit. But my negative would be like I walked out of the theater and I'm sitting there and I'm like, usually I see something like this, I have like a fucking song stuck in my head or something.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like, it didn't. It's not something I'm necessarily going to remember 10 years from now or whatever. Right. But I did think the bit with the animation where they go into the bowl or whatever
Wasn't that fantastic?
That's the best part of the movie, in my opinion.
That, and like I said, even though, like I said in my review, some of those dance numbers go a little too long, but I did enjoy the one with the street light guys.
Yeah, that was good. And I liked the one, like I said, when they're in there and they go to like the show and she does the whole cover of the book thing. And I thought, what's his name? Lin-Manuel Miranda or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was a fantastic addition. I think it was his first like starring role in anything, really.
Yeah, the only thing I know he made Hamilton, which is like the big Broadway hit, but he also was on Curb Your Enthusiasm last year. Him and Larry David had a big rivalry, which is fucking hysterical. Fantastic. If you haven't seen that season, oh god, dude.
What else was? Oh, Ben Whishaw.
Yep.
His song at the beginning
was good.
Breaks your heart.
Yeah, it was good.
Like
it was a great way to introduce
does.
the character. I thought the cast, I like that Emily Mortimer or whatever, his sister.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt was great.
Yep.
I will say they couldn't have cast a better Mary Poppins.
I agree.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. It's a good, like, nice little disposable piece of entertainment. I don't think it's gonna be like a Disney classic or anything.
Not at all.
But I mean, it's a solid B.
Sure. Colin Firth is good in it. I always like him.
Yeah. Oh, I did like that a little bit too. How like they tied him with the animated wolf in the movie. That was it's good. It's a nice little time.
It is. It's not a bad time.
It's not a Paddington.
Now, it is certainly not a Paddington. Now, one thing though, if you bring your kids to the theaters, they need to shut the fuck up. We ended up in the front row of this because it was so packed. And to our left were 2 parents with a couple of their kids who were walking around in the front of the theater. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to be the Grinch, but everyone in the theater is going to be distracted by that. Everyone.
There's a perfect place if you want your children to be able to do that. You can go and see movies, and they can do that. It's called Rocky Rococo's.
There you go. Yeah.
Go and do that. Don't fucking go to the movies if you're going to let them do that.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's
I can't imagine what it would have been like if they weren't in the front row. Like, I don't fucking know how you would have kept them under control. It was terrible, but
Ugh. I hate people.
children especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, we saw one. Oh, I'll give it a B minus.
Okay.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
But we saw one more movie, Vice. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
Overall, I liked it. I have problems with it.
Right.
I get annoyed when people are like, oh, it's liberal propaganda, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're that dumb that you don't realize what you're going to see and you're going to get upset about it,
That's on you.
that's on you. Yeah, come on. Everybody knows what this was going to be.
Right.
Any of these political movies, my biggest issue, and I know there's no way to avoid this,
right.
but like, sure, the facts might be true as far as like what bill was passed or what law was passed or, whatever and what date.
Right.
But how they come to those decisions to pass those laws or what have you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversations, a lot of backroom conversations
Yep.
that they have to, like, they're just supposing that this is what happened.
Right.
And of course, somebody who's slanted one way or the other is going to paint it with whatever brush fits the narrative that they're trying to,
Right.
But hell of an awesome a lot of awesome performances in this.
Agreed.
Amy Adams, Christian Bale, Steve Carell.
Steve
all
Carell was
great.
Steve Carell was maybe no, it's Christian Bale who's the best in the movie, but Steve Carell might have been my favorite character.
Oh, he was great. Yeah. Well, and that's what was interesting too, was I wasn't a big fan of W, the Oliver Stone movie. But this one I liked because it wasn't it created Dick Cheney as like a protagonist type character. He's the one you follow.
Yeah.
Even though he's a fucking prick and he's an evil asshole or whatever. He was still, he's your guy in the movie.
Yeah.
So,
There's, everybody knows if people follow politics in any sort of way, they know that he has quite a few heart spells in his life.
and they did. That shit was hilarious.
And you feel for him
Right.
on the last one, even though
yeah.
you're like, you're a monster. You've done some terrible, terrible things. But why do I care that you're dying? Holy shit.
Right. Well, and actually on that heart attack thing, one bit that I really liked was all like after they've won the presidency or whatever, him and Bush. And he's like standing there and he's like, oh, better go to the hospital.
His hands doing like the opening and closing thing.
Like it's just the thing he's
like,
deals with.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but I think we have to go to the hospital.
Yeah. He just has heart attacks. That's part of his character.
Yep. That's just... I mean, it's an entertaining movie.
Very.
It's quickly edited, very stylish. I really like the way this Adam McKay directs his movies. I'd say he's like the entertaining version of Oliver Stone.
Right. His movies are going to be cool.
Yeah.
When you see him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think it worked as well in this as it could have, though. There were
Not
some
as good
moments
as-
where I was like, okay, well, I kind of wish I was watching a more dramatic telling of this story.
not as good as The Big Short.
No.
The Big Short was, I feel, phenomenal. And I feel like it got across his point probably in a more concise way. I feel like this movie covers so much time that you're like, oh, so it's another bad thing that he did.
Right.
And you start getting a little desensitized to it. And it is, if you're a discerning audience member, you're like, but how do you know that that's how they talk?
Well, and he had openly admits it at the beginning to
Which
say,
I like.
That
got a little bit of a laugh from the
but
audience.
part of me is like, okay, well, if you're just going to have something pop up on the screen saying like, oh, we made assumptions here, we tried, then
Right.
I don't know. That kind of... they're being upfront about it, which I respect,
Yeah.
but that's also my problem with these movies in general. Any of these politically biased,
Right.
and I'm sorry, but no matter which side you're on, this is a biased take on Dick Cheney and the Bush White House and all that
Right.
shit. I don't have a problem with that because I know that.
Right. And
You
I
know.
also like the fact that I feel like at the end of the day, you can look at this movie and it's actually not making like the hugest argument against Republican beliefs. It's making an argument against people who are in search of power.
Power, right.
And you need to be wary of people who will say and do whatever they feel they need to gain more power and more money.
Now, I agree with that, but the movie does paint... It very clearly seems to state that it's the Republicans who do that.
Right.
Which, I mean, I'm sorry, but we all know that's bullshit.
Well, we all know that anybody who's getting into politics has a certain... I feel like the people who are doing it for altruistic reasons are rare.
Yes.
And I feel like that altruism probably fades over time.
And that's certainly, I mean, that's how it is publicly perceived.
Yeah.
There probably are really good people in politics. It's just, I'm sorry, but that's just not how we see it. We're so jaded to it.
Yes. And it's like, well, I mean, and I think this makes a good argument for us being jaded, I think.
Right. It's
because
true.
you look at, you look at how Cheney went in, and then you look how he came out, and it's like, you know, they were living in a standard house, you know, and I think they were maybe even living with her mom, his wife's mom.
At the beginning.
Some
of the best stuff in the movie.
Yes, and they leave and they're millionaires.
Right.
Multi-millionaires. And you're like, I don't feel like politics is designed to do this for people.
No, that's what's crazy. There's a lot of that. You hear it's like, how is this congressman like a multi-millionaire on their salary? It makes no sense.
Yes, and that's the sickening part. And you see some of the things that he did, you know, like you're saying, like the conversations. We don't know the conversations,
right.
but we do know the outcomes of certain things.
Sure.
And you're like, yeah, I think hindsight being what it is, that was objectively wrong.
Right, but exactly. Hindsight, though, right?
Yes.
So, like, you know, the movie does dabble a little bit on 9/11, for instance. And, you know, a lot of the things, you know, people are against the actions that were taken after 9/11, the Patriot Act, you know, executive power, that sort of thing. The movie really gets into that. But the movie acts as if the only reasoning for doing that was that Dick Cheney's a bad guy and he wants more power, when realistically I would assume that there was a lot more to it than that. I mean, like, you know, the Iraq War, for example, most people look back on that and say we shouldn't have gotten involved.
Right.
But Congress voted overwhelmingly to go to war in Iraq. And so, you know, it's like...
And I liked some of what was done there because there are things that make sense. I liked the way that Cheney reacted to it. He seemed genuinely pissed.
Right.
Now, he can be genuinely pissed and an opportunist at the same time.
Sure.
Both can be true. And I think that actually that's
probably the truth.
I think that's the truth. I think he was mad about what happened. And he also was like, I also can benefit from this. And he realized, like, you know, they just happened to have like a list of like this is so funny. The whole like the locations of oil in Iraq and how those people, like how the oil tycoons or whatever would have divvied it up or what they would be interested. Like, that's an interesting fact that they had already thought about that before the Iraq war even happened.
So, okay, well, here's a question, though, on that. And I'd have to look this up. I don't know what has happened with Iraq's oil to this day.
I don't know either.
You know what, I probably should have looked this up before we recorded, but...
That's the thing that this made me want to do is, like, knowing that it's biased, I wanted to do more research on it, which I think is maybe the greatest thing. I mean, it's maybe one of the nice benefits of the movie. It's maybe not the greatest thing. The greatest thing is Christian Bale's performance.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the best thing about the movie.
He's amazing, and he's multifaceted. And my favorite moment was him threatening his father-in-law to stay away from his wife and children.
Yes, it was good.
Yeah. My least favorite scene was when they were doing the whole Shakespeare lines in bed, because they're like, oh, we don't know exactly what they said here. And then they just do this fake scene.
Maybe there's some, you know, little nugget that they were big Shakespeare fans or whatever.
Maybe. I just didn't. It was supposed to be a joke, and it didn't land in my theater, and it didn't land with me personally.
Right.
So
Alex is getting a phone call.
Yeah, I was supposed to do some stuff with the family today.
Oh, well, maybe if... you know, we had a third go. Maybe we should do a third go at this episode.
No, this is my podcast family.
But yeah, no, I mean, I, you know, more right of center than this movie's maybe target audience, but I don't care. I like, you know, we talked about Sorry to Bother You earlier.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. I just go in. I have to review the movie as it is, what it is, and it's an entertaining movie.
Yep.
I'll give this one a B- as well.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it's great, you know.
I think we're the same on this. This is a B- for me also, because it's entertaining, good performances, well written, but yes, very biased.
Very biased, and that's not even its biggest problem. Its biggest problem is, I guess maybe, you know what? Never mind. That is its biggest problem, because it's so clear what they're trying to do, and there's things that are not being said that but it's fucking entertaining. They made a political movie about Dick Cheney entertaining.
Yeah, actually, you phrase it that way, fuck it gets a B. That's impressive. I mean, the guy. I mean, you see Dick Cheney in interviews, and you're like, "This is your star,
right?
Really?" And then, but I mean, one of my favorite things was like, I was talking about like he's not really a Republican. He's not even painted as one in the movie.
He chooses the Republican Party at the beginning of the movie because he likes what Donald Rumsfeld said.
Yes, and I like that, and I like that he had this like line in the sand about his daughter being gay, and he's like, we will never go out and say openly that we're against gay marriage.
Right.
And then at the end of the movie, he compromises that with telling his eldest daughter to say that they are against it.
Yeah, because his eldest daughter is running for the Senate, I believe.
Yeah.
And basically, they're doing like robocalls to conservative people saying, hey, she's for gay marriage.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'd like to see more about that whole thing too, because that's kind of laid out to make him look like the worst person ever. When I mean, I don't know what the family dynamic was. I don't know what kind of agreements are made. They do have a blurb saying that they haven't spoken, the sisters. I don't know if that's true.
Right. I'd imagine like we're talking about like at the end of the movie, they're like, well, they had to vet the facts, didn't they? And it's like, okay, well. Yes and no, like creative license, but I feel like something like that would have to be true.
It's probably true.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, we don't know conversations. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I liked that because it made him more of a tragic character, because he was a guy that when he went in and he met Bush for the first time, he was like, I have this line in the sand. I will not do this. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I respect that,
Well, maybe that's what he said to her. Maybe he was like, look, I wouldn't do it myself, but I'm not gonna.
And maybe,
you know what I mean? Who knows?
But I did like that. I thought it was good because it did show, like, the whole point of the movie, like I said, is to show that people who are in search of power, they worship at the altar of power. They don't have real morals that guide them.
Right. One problem with the movie?
Yeah.
The narrator.
Agreed.
Because at the beginning of the movie, they set it up. It's being narrated by this guy. You get little clips of him in typical Adam McKay style.
Yep.
Where it cuts over to him and he'll be like doing random things. Like at the beginning, I can't remember
playing
exactly.
with his kid.
Yeah, playing with his kid. And then you see him in the military, whatever. And at one point, he's like, how do I know so much about this, or why am I invested in this? You'll find out at the end of the movie.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, so it ends up, spoiler, that he is the guy who died that enabled Dick Cheney to get a new heart. So his heart is in Dick Cheney now.
Yep.
But he's a biased narrator who doesn't like Dick Cheney.
Yep.
But they didn't get into whether or not the real guy hated Dick Cheney, or how they know this.
Yeah, why? Well, it's like, why would we take your word on all of these things about Dick Cheney? If the movie is structured in that, like, because clearly it's not written by this guy, you know?
Right.
But like, it's like the movie wants you to think that it's like written by this guy and this is what he felt, but it's like, no, this is a bunch of people that did research and like had ideas about how things happened and were screenwriters. And then they were like, oh, this is a creative way to tie in the theme about hearts and losing your heart and being heartless.
I mean, they don't even get it. They don't even have a blurb to like show you who the guy is and to say like he was a registered Democrat or something.
Right,
they don't even go that far. Like he could have been a fucking stalwart Republican as far as walking out of the movie. And why does the fact that he was an organ donor, like how is it relevant to him, like knowing
I know Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I'm inside him.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Sexually.
But yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest dumb decision as far as the screenplay is concerned, is I don't understand that.
Yeah,
That seems really bizarre.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like we said, it doesn't answer the question of how you know so much about
Right.
Dick Cheney. Unless you're going in like some weird esoteric way of I am inside him, I am part of him.
Yeah,
now.
but that's not how.
But that's not how
Right.
how it works in real life.
Right.
But did we have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Oh, didn't you watch more of The Office? I want to hear.
Oh yeah, we'll leave it off with that. I'm towards the end of 6 now.
Oh,
And by the way, I can give an update on the Pam Jim getting together, ruining the show thing.
Right.
It does hurt the show.
a little bit.
It does. And they try to supplement that by having Andy have a love interest who's also the receptionist.
Yes.
And you do find yourself like, oh, you want them to get together, kind of the same thing to a lesser extent.
Lesser extent.
It's still fucking funny though.
Yep.
You can tell though that, I mean, the golden years were the first 3 seasons, in my opinion.
I slightly disagree because where are Pam and Jim in their relationship at this
They
point?
just had a kid.
Okay, so they're married, right?
Yes.
So their marriage episode is a fantastic episode.
It's good.
And I feel like they were smart in that they realized that, okay, yeah, the tension of that is gone, but now we've opened ourselves up to new forms of comedy between these two now as a couple. Like I like the whole like the crew finds out about it and they're like, they show the video of them
Yes.
getting into the car together. I thought that was great. The one that I feel like works the best is sort of like your new supplement for the Jim and Pam will they, won't they, is Michael. Will he find someone?
Yeah, no. He's just such a blubbering idiot that it's just.
But
you can't take his like character with the same kind of serious nature as the other two.
Agreed. But you want him to find somebody
Sure.
because you see how incredibly lonely the guy is.
He is fucking great.
Yeah.
By the way, he
Yep.
is the best part of the show.
He's awesome.
Yeah. I miss some of the Dwight Jim stuff from the earlier seasons.
Yeah.
Dwight is fucking hilarious.
Yep.
It's funny, actually, you brought this up. This could have been in the news segment, but there's been talk of an Office reunion.
I really want one.
Well, here's the problem. Steve Carell said it. He's like, we couldn't get away with this stuff. 10 years later now, we couldn't get away with a lot of this stuff. Because there's already people writing articles and shit about how problematic The Office is because of its.
Yeah, Jim and Pam, how Jim's like secretly an asshole. I saw that as an article.
Well, and then there's just, there's like Diversity Day is treated.
Yeah.
There's the way Oscar is treated when he comes out as gay.
Right.
But
find that-
it's funny because that just goes to show how stupid people are because
Right.
the whole point is like.
The whole point is that Steve is being an idiot.
Right.
And
That's the whole point.
Like that's like, see, and if people want to have a problem with it, that says more about them than it does about the show, because the show goes out of its way to show that nobody in the office is comfortable with what what Michael is doing.
Right.
It's clearly wrong. He learns a lesson by the end of it, kind of, because he's an idiot. Like he's like, I shouldn't have done that. And
he is the worst.
like I love when he's like, don't kiss and tell. That's what she said. Or he said. Like he's like this great revelation that he could say, or he said.
He's got a scene where he kisses Oscar.
Oh God. It's so good.
Yeah, the goddamn show is really fucking funny.
Oh my God. It's great upon rewatches too, because I feel like the jokes are layered enough that you'll still laugh. Like
Oh,
it's
God,
like
they're fucking hilarious.
like it is like Seinfeld in that it does reward repeat viewings. Also, I love watching it because John Krasinski has a hard time not laughing, and there are certain scenes that you can catch him laughing in.
Yeah.
So I start watching him if he's in the background of a shot, I'll watch him, because if it's Steve Carell doing something, or if it's Rainn Wilson, Dwight doing something.
Well, I feel like I can't understand how they even get through some of the takes without bursting out fucking laughing.
Oh my God, Dwight's bit about yeast infections.
Oh, God.
Must be because we're downriver from that old bread
My
factory.
favorite bit in the whole show so far is they find out that this new guy they have from the Stanford office is an ex-convict or whatever.
Yep.
And Steve Carell tells Dwight about it, and
Yep.
Dwight like flips the fuck out, and he's like, "I do not like criminals." You know, he's
Yep.
like, "I don't care if they're black, white, German, or some kind of halvesy." I was just like, Jesus Christ. And when I watched that was the moment where I'm like, I don't think that would make it on NBC today. I really don't. I just don't.
That one in particular, you're right.
But it's funny. I'm sorry, but it's fucking funny because the guy is a fucking idiot.
Well,
that's the point.
The joke is that he was raised by like borderline Nazis. Like you get that through the course of the show.
Best. He's fucking hilarious. But, yeah.
I love my favorite bits are when you get Ed Helms, Rainn Wilson, and Michael Scott together.
Actually, Ed Helms is a great addition to the show.
Initially, I was not so sure about him. Between him and Karen, I was like, yeah, I don't know about this.
He is funny.
But he becomes great.
The parkour bit where they're like all like
Parkour.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I love Kevin and Stanley are probably some of the most unsung heroes in the show.
Well, that's what's funny too, is you've got these characters that are quite minor.
Yes.
You know, Parks and Rec was a little different in that, like, your main cast, everybody who worked in that office, like, had bigger parts.
Agreed.
Whereas in this show, there's just these, like, secondary bit characters, like Angela and Kevin and Oscar, those characters.
Yeah.
And they're all great, too. They add a lot to the show.
Yeah.
So
I love Oscar's bit about, like, thinking about switching back to women. Angela thinks I can do it. We'll see. I love everything about that show is fantastic.
it is. It's good.
I might actually
I'll be
go
done
home
with
and
it in
watch
a couple weeks, I would assume.
I might go home and watch some right now.
Oh, there you go.
But that's the end of this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, tune in next week. I think we're going to watch Escape Room.
Yeah, it's got my favorite actress in it.
Oh, what's her name from Daredevil?
Yeah.
Well, it's not her fault.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I see pictures of her in the movie. I've seen clips. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
All right.
But like us on iTunes, review us. Go to our page, subscribe so you guys can get the latest stuff as soon as it comes out.
Make sure you're subscribing wherever you listen and rating us wherever you listen if that's possible.
Yeah. We greatly appreciate it. Have a great afternoon, day, night, whatever it is. Bye.